It's the beginning of November here. We got a lot of things to go on this month here before winter hits. This is where the homestead place I was talking about. This is what it looks like today. It's a lot different than it looks 130 years ago. The original house that used to be there, that's where my grandpa was born and raised. My mom was born and raised, and where I was born and raised at. The house that's on there now was built in 2017. I believe the other one that was on there was about 110 years old before we built this house. When we come for the visits in March, I'll show you what it looks like, what it looked like, 50 years ago or 30 years ago. Let's see what's changed about the place. So, like I said, this is November. We got a lot of things going on. We need to get done before winter hits. One thing is putting our fertilizer down. I hire a guy to come in and he strip tills for me. What is strip tilling? It's putting the fertilizer down in strips out in the field there, and then we'll come back and plant right on those strips. So the first thing we need to do before we can start strip tilling is we need to go and take a soil sample out in the field that we're going to put the fertilizer on. It's a probe that our agronomist comes out and he probes the ground down about 6 inches and grabs a soil sample. He'll go out through the field, grab half a dozen samples, and then we send it off to a lab to have it analyzed and break it down to know what we need for nutrients out there. And the fertilizer is your nutrients for the plant to grow. What is an agronomist? He's our guy that we go to when we need to consult about the soil fertility, the corn and beans we're going to plant out there, any crop disease issues that we have, when to spray and all that. That's what his job is to do. He'll do that, get a sample like I said, he'll send it off to a lab, have it analyzed, they'll send it back with a recommendation, and then we'll go from there of how many pounds we need to put down to meet the recommendation to have a successful crop for next year. This is a year out, we're already starting to plan for next year. This is all part of it. We all start in the fall, getting ready for next year with the fertilizer from the seed we select and all that. It all starts right now, right after harvest. If you can see the fertilizer in there, the white, that's your nitrogen in there. You see some black and some pink pellets in there. That's for your phosphorus and your potassium in there. So basically you have your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and your potassium. And then there's also some sulfur in there and a little boron. Sulfur will be yellow. You'll learn a lot about these elements when you get to high school chemistry on a periodic table. They're all part of the periodic table. But those are the main ingredients in our fertilizer mix that we have. So once we get that, our agronomist makes a blend for it of how much to put in there. They blend it all up, they'll bring it out in the truck, and then he puts it in his strip tiller. So what does that strip tiller do? It's got the fertilizer, it meters it out for how many pounds we need per acre out there, and we were putting on just roughly around 400 pounds an acre of fertilizer out there. And he knifes it in about 5-6 inches deep. So next year when the corn is growing, we plant it right on top of the strips, and then the roots will go down, after 3-4 weeks, they'll be down, they'll hit that fertilizer and start taking that in, and they'll start growing a lot faster. They'll start growing without it, but then once they hit it, they really take off. So he's got a GPS on there, and GPS is your global positioning system. It's comparable to like a lot of new cars with your navigation system on there. It knows exactly where you're at, like when you come to an intersection or a bridge or a railroad crossing. Ours knows where it's at out there in the field. You put in what the width is of it, and it just knows where you're at. I'll explain more about this when we start planting next spring. That's how he keeps the straight rows out there and all that, and then that's how I can come back in the spring and follow what the planter is using the same lines he used to plant or to put the strip down. Then I can come back and plant the corn on. That's basically our strip till. We do that in the fall, like I said, every fall. We like to do it when the soil temperature is under 50 degrees. I guess that's about it. So the cows cows, like I said before when we did our video in the previous month, they were out grazing their turnips and radishes. I'll show you what they look like here, how big they are. Graze them, and then we moved them to where I had some more turnips and radishes, and also with some corn stalks. We'll graze corn stalks here now up until about the first part of December, and then we'll probably start feeding them a little bit better feed because we'll be calving the middle part of January. But anyway, cows that were out there in the turnips and radishes, I left in the corn stalks. They were grazing quite a bit out there. There's a lot of feed out there for them to graze. They usually eat the leaves off the tops, off of the turnips and radishes. Right now we moved them to another field with corn stalks. We'll leave them out there for probably another 2-3 weeks. Usually a cow can graze an acre of corn stalks for probably 30 days. So right now I got about 110 cows out there on 60 acres. So it's only going to be about 2 weeks worth of grazing for them. So we'll let them graze that field, and then we'll bring them back home, graze another field, and then once they get done with that, after a couple weeks, then we'll start feeding them a little bit better feed. So the other things we got going on this month, we baled some corn stalks for feed. It's just basically a filler for them to eat with our corn silage and our alfalfa hay. I'll show you that next month when we start mixing feed up, grinding the corn stalks and mixing feed up. So I guess that's where we're at with the cattle right now.